Well, hello everybody. It is November 11th, 2021, and it has been so long since March 16th, 2020, and so much has happened. And I had been thinking about, do I even make this video? Is there a point? Is it going to be taken down? Well, let's find out. And this is not about medical information or products and services or any of that nonsense. This is about real people. This is about where we've gone with the COVID cult and where we've gotten. So it's time to be honest about where we are. Um, I've had objects thrown in my car. I've been I've been gaslighted. Um, had attempts at physical assault. Yes, until recently, it's been 23 months since I was able to see my kids. 2020, that year of my income and personal life got pretty much wiped out. And yeah, there's some suicides in between the mix. Whole bunch of people got messed up by a vaccine. Of course, that's you can't even mention that. So yeah, I and my kids, we lost a year of our life for no goddamn good reason. We lost a year of our life for no damn good reason. There are other things that have happened to us and them that I'm just not going to make public, but they're bad and they're horrible and they're all directly related to this lockdown hysteria and all this COVID shaming. So yeah, COVID's a serious disease, no question, but enough about that. This was all for a disease that we're all going to get. I had COVID. One of my kids had COVID twice. They've all had COVID. It was just a matter of when. There was no stopping it. There was just a matter of saving the hospitals and all that. But you know what? It's one thing if we do this for 15 days. It's one thing if we do this for a month. But it got to the point where I was on a very popular radio show as a guest. 3 million listeners. And I literally had to say it. I never thought I would say this in all my time in politics, but I had to say, if you're going to continue to talking over me, this interview is over and I'm hanging up this damn phone. That's what it's come to. Just to be able to be heard, to be able to be listened to be able to even convey where you're coming from. And it's all like, you can just, you're supposed to understand them. But they're not at all supposed to understand you because, you see, they have watched the mainstream media and therefore they know everything. Whether that stuff is consistent or not, that makes no sense because we're all five by executive order and nobody has to do anything and nobody has to worry about anything. And everyone is an essential superhero, including my mommy and my daddy and my friend Timmy up the road. You see, that's a bit delusional. And it kind of started manifesting into really essential delusions when everyone started spray painting the roads and the buildings, saying essential superhero. And then there was that slight incident where I had to sue the Democratic National Committee and settle them because I don't like being accused of stuff that I don't do, like purposefully spread COVID and incite armed insurrection against the government. Because you see, that's not nice, and that's not what I'm about. So, of course, you have the George Floyd exception, all this bullshit. So all of a sudden, even the Dr. Fauci, that was like, oh yeah, racism public. We just forget all those gathering restrictions. Just completely disregard the fact that we said, put your life on hold. So I was locked out of my life. And there were a lot of friendships and relationships that, well, they just don't exist anymore. It's not because anybody died of COVID. It's because the hysteria, kind of took a lot of people out of perspective. I mean, these were a lot of people that I had baseball bat loyalty for. Like, if it came down to it, yeah, I'd take a bat to someone's head if it was necessary to protect them, And well, when it comes to the COVID hysteria, you see, these things no longer matter. See, what happened before never mattered. It was a once in 100-year thing. Let me tell you something about that once in 100-year thing. The only thing that was truly the once in 100-year event is how far we've gone to act out delusional fear. This is how far we've gone to grab power, to take money. to ruin people, to act out our delusional fantasies of like, we're all essential superheroes. So this is kind of everyone from the idiots who believe if you got a PCR positive, you're 5 minutes away from a ventilator, to all the QAnon idiots who think that Trump could possibly be reinstalled somehow today, right now. Well, there are a lot of us, myself included, that exist nowhere near those extremes, but we get punished. We get punished for asking, what's the end game? You know, we get punished for just trying to be like, well, what you just said like a month ago didn't pan out, did it? We get punished for asking questions about, gosh, this is what the CDC data actually shows. You know, we get punished for that. And this has never been better for partisanship, because the media's ratings have never been higher. This is where we are, and the sad fact is there are just too many people that are into this delusional state where it's an us versus them mentality, such that we're never ever going to be left alone, ever. It's just a fact. I know a lot of people think COVID's going to die out, or, well, the disease is going to be with us forever. I mean, we have failed. I mean, if we wanted to contain it, we're too late in March 2020. That was realistic. But there's so much money and power and control. I mean, there's so much hysteria here. There's so much inability to act out aggressions and delusions and fantasies that people, you do it for 15 days. That's one thing. 6 months from then, fine. I get it. Everyone's a little afraid, but almost 2 years. When do we stop? You know, when do we say life goes on? When do we say, look, you know, we've got to move along here? I mean, and there are just people who just don't want to move along. They just do not want to let it go. And I'm sad that so many people, they want to be on either of the extreme ends. They don't want to admit there's other possibilities, other angles. They just want to get on that jump to conclusions, Matt. It's not about trying to gather information anymore. It's about, like, I want someone to tell me how I should think. And anybody who wants to just be in the middle like I am and just, you know, try to figure out what's going on and, you know, really wrap your head around it. Because this is the thing about fear. Fear only exists because you lack information. That's it. That's just the nature of fear. Fear is uncertainty. So this is the thing. You got a lot of bad people. You got a lot of sociopaths. They thrive on fear. They can make people do things based on fear. They can make people do things, you know, not because they have a good idea, but because they can get people to be afraid of stuff. And they can scare people to doing irrational things, like breaking into the Capitol, like spray painting the roads, like writing essential superheroes on everything, like we're just going to cancel any ability to work at all, you know, because whatevs. Well, I could have dealt with that maybe for 15 days, maybe for 30, but I got to tell you, around day 30, I was getting a bit like something is wrong here. And I was right. And everyone watching this knows that I was right. And deep down inside, y'all knew this was wrong. So this is where we are. We have accepted a culture of gaslighting and abusing people. That's just what this is all about at this point. They want the masks, the shots, and the COVID shaming to last forever. I mean, and I say that not because they've, you know, I say that especially because they haven't thought it through. They don't know where to end. They don't. There's no goalpost that the goalpost is fully malleable all the time. They haven't, the way they measure this, they haven't gone, okay, if we get X number of cases, we can just drop it. There is no number. There is no methodology. So we're dealing with a bunch of well-intentioned idiots who at a certain point become delusional, and they just hurt people. They believe they're doing right. They beat their chest and go, I care about grandma. Look at me. Or like, hey, I wore the mask. I took the shot. Look at me. And then they're like, I hope you people who didn't take the shot, I hope you die. I think God can sort it all out. Well, is that the way you talk to people that you love and care about and respect? I don't think so. So I guess we need our own sector rules, don't we? It's one thing to see all sorts of absurdity. I mean, there's nothing like being chased around a store with people asking you for personal health records and the store ain't exactly a hospital. So yeah, it's just been a good almost 2 years of former friends, former other relationships of like you hate people, you don't take COVID seriously, you just want to kill grandma. Yeah, this has been great for society, hasn't it? I have arrived at the frightening conclusion, and I'm not saying anyone's a Hitler, so don't get on your jump to conclusions, Matt. But I am saying if you ever wanted to know what would happen in a Nazi Germany type of situation, the fact is most people would be ratting people out. That's just what we've learned. That is not a comforting realization. That is not a truth that's exactly going to win me any favors for telling it. But I've got two choices. I can tell it. I can live my life accordingly, or I can just pretend that's not the case. Let's just pretend I say that's not the case. What is going to happen? Well, my life's going to be worse. Your life's going to be worse because I said nothing. I did nothing. But unlike those people that would be willing to like throw people on trains and rat people out and send them off to camps, I can empathize with their position. I can sympathize with them. I can do it when there's no direct connection. I can put myself in their shoes, but I am damn well sure, and I know, and it's pretty demonstrated that I'm not receiving equal respect, and neither is anyone who's trying to be rational, like really trying. I'm not saying, look at me, I watch CNN, or like, oh, I'm going to tune into Fox, and the Democrat or Republican will say me. I'm talking about someone who's trying to figure out what to do, trying to actually stop it doing really uncomfortable things. Well, this is where we are. All of our lives have been fundamentally and permanently damaged and altered for no good reason that would justify the cost. None of the people still scream about what was done and what still needs to be done can point to a single life they saved. That's a problem. That's a big problem. And every time the data doesn't go the way they said it would go when they implemented the restrictions, they go, oh, it was medical misinformation. Not enough people were complying. But when it doesn't turn out nearly as bad, they go, oh, that must be because everything worked. So what is this? When do we stop and when do we say, be equal, be fair? When do we do that? When do we actually hold our own theories to the same level of scrutiny as we do the other people? We're dealing with snarky people who joke and think that we're all going to die if we don't take the shot, and they get their ha-has off on it, and they think just because they wear the mask and they took the shot and they've done nothing else whatsoever to change their own personal health, like lose weight, quit smoking, eat better food, these people think it's all good, like no other health condition ever exists but COVID. Well, it's not about COVID or racism or any perceived threat. This is about virtue signalers who want the badge of being good or the badge of being afraid of being a victim without actually doing good. There's no glory in being a victim either. It's just not. At a certain point, you could say you've been wronged, but enough's enough. So rather than put up with this whole it's my way or the highway with these people, now it's my way or the highway with them. I mean, if they think I'm such a horrible human being, and I say this and I think I speak for all of us sane people here who are just trying to get this done and point out the truth that this will never ever willingly be done. We're saying, look, it's got to end at some point. So if there's someone who really thinks that, you're a danger because you're purposely spreading COVID, if they think your life is a joke or they think none of these things have costs, time to tell them goodbye. Really. People can screw up for 15 days. Someone can go on a bender even for 2 months, but almost 2 years? Almost 2 years of living in pointless, endless, hysterical fear. There's a phrase, and it goes like this. A lot of people died, they just haven't been buried yet. Those are those people. They may still have a pulse. They may still walk around. They may even eat food and drink water, but living like that's just not life. And those people want me to live my life like that. I don't know. I just don't know them anymore. I mean, how many shots do I need to take? How long do I need to wear a damn mask? How long do you have to retain all this stupid executive power to abuse anybody you want just to get your rocks off, just to get free money? Like, what price is it that we have to pay, before we just say it's gone too far? And they haven't answered that question, because if they answer that question, now they have to own some personal responsibility for it. So they'd rather just hope, oh, it's just going to go all the way on its own, and it's not. That's just been our experience. So it has occurred to me a while ago, but more and more of us, that no, this is not shared experience. We're not all in it together. There are no essential superheroes. And this is just not a case of where facts matter. There's no persuasion. There's just screaming. And if that is where you're finding yourself with family, with friends, with colleagues about this, then you need to get the fuck out of the room. Seriously, get out of the room. Get out of the room until somebody can say, I fucked up, I'm sorry. And mean it, and describe how it is they've screwed up. The most sound medical advice I ever got from a doctor, other than you need to lose some weight, which 71 pounds later, that was great advice, is turn off the damn TV. Now, if you're watching this and you just happen to be in the COVID cult, try it. Your life will be immeasurably better. Just take a television and media, and even take an internet fast. Like just get away from the internet, get away from the TV, go out and take a walk. Go out and, well, I mean, baby steps, COVID cult, but you get the idea. So I'm getting a little tired of paying for things that I did not cause, I did not do, I was not responsible for, and for a plan that I was dragged along with. There was no consultation. There was no, hey, we'd like you to do this. It wasn't like, I don't know, Sweden, which didn't have ideas so good that they had to be mandatory. And you know what? They ended up 52nd place in COVID deaths per capita. Compared to Connecticut, which was way worse. So, yeah. What can you do? There's a lot of things you got to do. Obviously, you got your kid in a school. You got to, seriously consider homeschooling. I mean, seriously, just consider it, because they're not going to take those masks off your kid. They just don't ever want to. There's too much money wrapped up in it. And you bet those executive orders are going to get extended again and again and again. No, voting red isn't going to stop that either, so get those rocks out of your head right now. When it comes to interpersonal relationships with people you don't have to be around, bye. See ya. We need to refuse. We just need to say it's enough. There are things that you do when you treat people with respect, and you listen to them, and you care about them, and you try to understand that maybe even good intentioned things do profound harm, because after all, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. So I hope this helps you. I hope this helps as to serve as like, hey, sane people, you're not alone. But I hope it helps the COVID cult too, because we're there. We're totally there. No one should be in a room where they are not respected and cared for. No one. It's time to leave that room. And that's just the sad reality. So yeah, we have a once in 100-year event to figure out who really cares about us, who really wants to do good, like actually do good rather than just pretend to do good. We've got a once in 100-year event where we have, because of unfortunate things we've inflicted on ourselves, COVID's bad, no question about it. It's really bad for some people, but you know what? The damage we've done to each other is way, way worse. Way worse. And it is showing up in everywhere, in the highest inflation in the last 31 years. And just for starters, no, that's going to get worse because, I mean, who in government admits I screwed up, my bad, I'm sorry? Wouldn't that be great if we had one of those governments? But that is a subject for another day. Until later, I hope you're well, and I hope you find peace and sanity away from the COVID cult as much as you can get it. Hold on to that. It's precious.